This is ODAT Chat, your instant connection to recovery and community, one day at a time. This podcast may contain strong language, sexual content, and spiritual truth. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to ODAT Chat. My name is Arlena, and I'll be your host. In case you didn't know, ODAT stands for One Day at a Time. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It sure helps keep the lights on. So thanks for doing that. You might be wondering what the purpose of the podcast is. And really what I can tell you is that besides wanting to clear up a lot of misconceptions about addiction and recovery, I also wanted to share the teachers, ideas, and exercises that have helped me on my own journey over the last 22 years that really fall outside the parameters of 12-step groups. So I'd also like to share a book recommendation. I have lots of book recommendations on odatchat.com. This one is from Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle. I don't know how to say his last name, but you know what I mean. The title is A New Earth. And really, other than the big book, this book had the most significant impact on my recovery in the last 15 years or so. You can find a link to it on my website, but I just wanted to share this one little excerpt with you. It's from page 190, and it's on the chapter about abundance. And it's really an exercise. So it says, try this for a couple weeks and see how it changes your reality. Whatever you think people are withholding from you, praise, appreciation, assistance, loving care, and so on, give it to them. You think you don't have it? Just act as if you had it and it will come. Then soon after you start giving, you will start receiving. You cannot receive what you don't give. Outflow determines inflow. Whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you already have. But unless you allow it to flow out, you won't even know that you have it. This includes abundance. The law is that outflow determines inflow. Anyway, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole book. I highly recommend it. And let's see, today, in this episode, I'll actually be speaking with a dear friend of mine, Jim. I've known him for the last 20 plus years. Jim is going to share about what it was like growing up with 12 brothers and sisters, believe it or not, how he got sober and what it was like to lose a child to suicide in sobriety, and really how it affected his faith. We wrap it all up with how he stays sober one day at a time and what his life looks like today, which is actually pretty awesome. There will be show notes on the website and an opportunity for you to leave comments and feedback. And with that, please enjoy this episode with Jim. Jim, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what I thought we would do is just go over some general background questions so people can get an idea in their mind of, who I'm talking to, and so they can judge you appropriately.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. So let's see. How old are you?
51.
51. And what do you do professionally?
I have been a union electrician for the past 24 years. 24
years. That's a long time.
I know.
That's some serious stability.
As soon as I got here, I got into the union.
Here, meaning California?
Yes.
Right. So where did you grow up originally?
I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Spent the first half of my life there.
How come you don't talk like it?
Because I've been here too long.
Really? Could you lapse back into it if you wanted?
If I was there for a week or so, sure.
Do you start?
Yes.
So you recently visited. Did you start?
But I was only there a couple days. So Katie and I hung out a couple days, so it wasn't a whole lot of interaction with my family.
Oh, okay.
For those couple days. So,
for those couple days, yeah.
But if I'm there with my family and hanging out with old friends, sure, that accent will come back.
That is hilarious.
They actually tell me that I have a California accent now.
Yeah, I believe that because you sound like you've been here forever. You sound like me. Well, sort of.
Almost here as long as I was in Chicago.
Wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, that's funny. My mom was from Mexico City. She came here when she was 14, and she still has an accent, as you know.
Right.
Hi, honey.
How does that happen? Some people keep it.
Some people don't. Well, that is a whole nother country.
I just adapt.
Yes, you do. You're a chameleon, like a good addict, alcoholic.
Good dopey.
Good dopey.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your family, because you're just saying you just spent some time with your family.
Where do we start,
well,
right?
How many? That's
right. We
interesting.
start, I have 12 brothers and sisters, right? I'm number 11.
Irish Catholic?
Irish Catholic. Same mom and dad. We're married our whole life. No twins in the family.
Your poor mother.
I know. She's pregnant for 20 years, it seemed like.
Good God. Like every other year?
Right. 13 kids in 20 years.
Okay.
So that's busy.
That's busy. Does she still shop in the maternity section? Just out of habit?
Maybe she shrunk. My mom had shrunk. She's like 4'6"
It just sucked all the calcium right out of her body. Poor baby.
I don't know how that happens, but it happens.
Wow, that's amazing. And are you the only addict alcoholic in your family?
I am the only one that goes to meetings. Mm-hmm. I have 2 other brothers that don't drink or use anymore because they got out of control, but they don't do meetings or anything. One brother went to rehab a long time ago, maybe 1983, and I actually asked him about it when I was in Chicago over Christmas, and he said he just quit. He drinks O'Doul's now, right?
Okay.
He hasn't been drunk since 1983.
No weed, nothing.
No other substances, but he will drink O'Doul's.
Clean and sober, but a little O'Doul's.
Yeah, no meetings, doesn't do meetings or any AA type sobriety. And then
Interesting. How does he stay sober, do you think?
I think it might be a willpower thing, or just maybe he truly wasn't an alcoholic, because in our book it talks about if you are, right, an alcoholic like us, then you can't drink, right?
And he doesn't.
He doesn't with any other help, Maybe the influence of his wife and his kids was enough.
Yeah.
Right,
I had an uncle. I had an uncle who went to rehab and never drank again. He was a little bit of an asshole, but
he maybe can be like that sometimes.
But listen, who isn't?
Right.
Right.
Even when we do have the program.
We do have program and we lapse into asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I have another brother that he went to a Christian based.
Oh, like Celebrate Recovery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so he did that somewhere in North Dakota.
Okay.
And
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah. And then he came back and he does church, and he hasn't had a drink. I remember he had a drink when my dad passed away in 93.
Oh.
But I don't know of him drinking any other times since then.
Oh, gosh. My mind just flashed. I was like, was it like a shot? Was it a beer?
It was a beer. Because I was sitting at the table with him, and he had a beer, and I'm all, should you be drinking that? And he's all, my dad died. I can have a beer.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't.
I know, right? I am so clear about that, too.
I can't do that.
Can't do it.
So I think that was the last time he had a drink.
So you have no doubt in your mind, like, nothing, no matter what.
Yes, today I have that. But I also have the thought in my head that says I've been sober 23 years. Maybe I've learned something. And it just shows up sometimes.
Maybe you have healed on the inside.
Maybe I have. But I haven't acted on it.
Yeah.
But it still comes once in a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That gets a little scary.
Yeah. We don't need alcohol to survive. You know what I mean?
To survive?
I mean, it's not like food.
Oh, true.
You know what I mean?
True.
It's like it's not like oxygen. You don't have to have alcohol, so you can totally live without it.
Exactly.
But,
yeah, and I'm doing pretty good without it.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Life is all right now.
Yeah, you have a good life. Mm-hmm. So you had a couple siblings. Everyone's doing it different, but everybody's okay.
Yes.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And your parents didn't drink or...
My dad was much older, right? He was...
Than your mom?
Oh, yes. My dad was born in 1911.
What?
So he was 54 when I was born.
Whoa.
And he was almost 60 when my youngest sibling was born.
60. Can you imagine having a baby at 60?
Yes. So...
Listen, I'm exhausted now. Can you imagine, Chase? But I guess if you have that many kids, you get the older ones to chase the little ones.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that's how it
where are
works.
you in the lineup?
I'm number 11 out of 13.
Oh,
So I'm near the end.
Okay, so you didn't have to chase any little ones.
No, but I had to do a lot of dishes.
Oh, and let's not forget the best part of your family story. One bathroom.
One bathroom, one television, one telephone.
Isn't that funny?
Oh,
that telephone must have been ringing off the hook constantly.
Yes. And it was the old dial kind.
Oh, of course, the rotary.
Yes.
Hilarious.
That's horrible.
Half the people listening to this don't know what the hell that is.
They don't either.
I know.
Never seen one.
Yeah, no need.
Never seen one, no.
No. What's that thing in the old movies that people are talking to?
And then if you misdialed, you had to start all over again.
Man. Oh, yeah, I remember those. That was awful.
It was horrible. Horrible.
Wow. So tell me, when did you start drinking? Did it start out just like the typical fun, then fun with problems, then?
Yes, right. I hung out with, I have two brothers just ahead of me that the three of us are within 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's it, 5 years. And I would hang out with them. We grew up in a little pocket in our neighborhood. There was like 3 blocks surrounded by the railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. And we had a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. And so Matt, who lived across the street from me, and myself, we were born a day apart.
Really?
Yes. And so we hung out all the time together, and he had an old brother, and then my 2 older brothers, and we just hung out with the older guys. Mm-hmm. You know, and we would have a beer now and then, or, you know, a couple hits off a joint.
Starting at what age, do you think?
Who knows? Young.
Young.
I started sniffing Rush, like I think in 4th grade.
Sniffing Rush? What's Rush?
It was like ether or something.
Oh, right.
It came in a little tiny bottle.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I'd forgotten about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I did that too.
Yeah. And I didn't even like the taste of beer when I was little.
No.
It was gross.
Yeah, me either.
It was gross, but that's, you know.
But the older boys were doing it, so.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun, right?
Yeah. Didn't take much to get a buzz.
No. Did you ever go to jail?
Oh, went to jail a lot.
You went to jail a lot.
I never went to prison,
Okay.
but I spent many a nights in jail in many different states.
They pick you up for drunken public?
Drunken public fighting. That was one of my major downfalls, was fighting. I like to fight.
You're the fighting Irish?
I just like to. It was fun.
Really?
Yeah, it was a competition.
Oh, too bad they didn't have MMA back then.
Right?
Yeah.
We had Fight Club before it was a movie.
That's hilarious. You realize at the end, though, that guy was schizophrenic.
I might be.
Fighting himself, which is sort of ironic.
Yeah. We do that. We tend to do that.
Tend to fight ourselves. Oh, goodness.
So, yeah, I started pretty young, you know, and it was on the weekends, and it wasn't even every weekend. It was here and there, mm-hmm. right? And then I think I remember my first good drunk was my 8th grade dance.
Wow.
Yeah, I had somebody buy me a pint of Southern Comfort.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was a good drunk. And I don't know how in 8th grade we had somebody get a keg of beer for us. But somebody had a party, and there was a keg of beer at their house in 8th grade.
In 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it wasn't unheard of.
No, but it happened.
It happened.
That was my first.
Did you get in trouble?
No. There was not a lot of consequences for my drinking.
Ever? Outside the jail one?
Well, later on when I missed the fire department test. That was the major consequence in my life.
Was that the straw that broke the camel's back, or?
It just sent me spiraling downhill again.
Again?
Again. Right, because I was sober before I took the physical and the written and the mental test, and they give me about 5 tests. And then the final one is a urinalysis. And I had been sober right up to the night before the urinalysis. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So in our big book where it talks about we have the propensity to get bent at exactly the right moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sits very true with me.
Yeah. So there went your career as a fireman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood where there was a lot of cops and firemen. A lot of the dads were cops and firemen. And one of my best buddies, his dad was a sergeant in the police department. in the neighborhood that we lived in. So if I was out with him and we got pulled over by the cops, right, they would say, "Oh, you're Kenny's son," and he'd say, "Yeah." You know, and we'd get a little lecture, and then we'd be sent on. They take our beer, send us on our way.
Okay.
So there was not consequences in that sense. I did have one. I was about 17 or 18, and I got pulled over with open alcohol, a half an ounce of pot, and an 8 ball of cocaine. And somehow it just all went away. And I to this day, I don't know how it went away.
Was it somebody that you knew?
I think it might have been my uncle. One of my uncles had something to do with it going away.
Of course.
How he did it, I don't know, and I've never asked about it.
You just didn't want to know.
It was gone. Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I didn't have the consequences. I never got a DUI, right?
Okay.
I had a nickname when I was in my late teens, early 20s, right? They used to call me Otis.
Why?
As in Otis Campbell from Andy Griffith.
Oh, they called you Otis.
Yeah, because he was the town drunk that they would take to jail and then let him loose in the morning.
I did not know that.
So I had that nickname for a while.
And that's your dog's name,
Yes.
ironically. I didn't know that until just
And it
now.
all ties
It all
together.
ties together. Wow, that is hilarious.
That's exactly where that name came from, too, for him. It's my dog.
That's what I would notice. You're kind and you take care of Otis. It's sort of like nurturing a character defect.
Oh, what are those?
Oh, I don't know.
Neither do I.
These elusive, mysterious things that they talk about. Wow. So was that what got you into Alcoholics Anonymous, or what got you sober? Or?
So, no, I came in because I had a cocaine habit.
Oh, okay.
And so I went to my first rehab in 1989.
What made you go to rehab?
A family intervention.
Oh, no.
Duped into a family intervention.
I think that's how it starts.
They tricked me.
Yeah. I don't think they can get you there any other way, right?
Yes, they had told me that we were getting together to discuss what we were buying Mom and Dad for their anniversary. Yeah. So I went over to my sister's house, and when she opened the door, I could see the ring of chairs and the one in the middle.
And the energy just felt different.
I
and
wanted to
everyone's
run.
like, did you know the jig was up?
Yes. Yes.
Had they talked to you before about your drinking?
No.
No.
They might have. And I didn't hear them.
You think?
And I didn't hear them.
Didn't hear it.
You know, and so I went in and sat in that intervention, and some of my friends were also there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and the thing that directed me to go into rehab, because I didn't want to, right? That's not what I wanted to do.
Right.
But the first letter was from my mom, right? And that letter, I can't remember the exact wording, but I do remember her saying, if I could trade places with you, I would.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So that made it just painful, right?
Oh,
like
for
I
sure.
knew I was hurting my mom. She said, if I could trade places with you, I would, because you're killing yourself. And then I heard that same tone from about 18 other letters.
Wow, there were that many people there?
Yes.
Wow.
And I had a bag of dope in my pocket.
Uh-oh.
And I'm a good dope fiend.
Of course.
So they wanted to take me. They had a spot already lined up. And they wanted to take me that night. And I talked them into let me go in the morning.
Really?
So I got to finish my dope.
What kind of dope?
Cocaine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Crack.
Well, crack.
Oh, I was bad.
Oh, man.
But that was my original attempt at getting sober.
Okay, that was your first. So you went to rehab. Was it like a 30-day inpatient?
Yes. And I started in a hospital downtown Chicago.
Oh, okay.
In a psych ward, I guess. It was pretty much a lockdown facility.
It was in a regular hospital? It wasn't in a rehab?
Lutheran General Hospital, downtown
Maybe
Chicago.
they didn't have, like, you know how there's, like, specific buildings that are, like, all designed around. It wasn't like that? It was like a hospital.
This was a hospital. I don't remember what floor we were on, but I remember they would take us out for walks. And I called one of my sisters and said, I'm not going to make it here. The next time we go for a walk, I'm leaving. Unless you find someplace else. And she found a place called Parkside Lodge in Mundelein. Okay. Which is similar to the camp.
Oh, okay.
So it was a 28-day rest and relaxation.
28-day. Did they do the whole steps and group therapy and the whole nine?
And I didn't know it at the time, but H and I, they brought meetings in.
Nice.
But I was not an alcoholic.
You were still convinced then you weren't an alcoholic?
No, I was an addict. That was it.
Oh, okay.
That was it. And I would not. I'm a little stubborn.
Yeah.
But I would not say I was an alcoholic.
There's something kind of lame about being an alcoholic and something a little edgy and cool about being a drug addict.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do what they said. I didn't.
Of course not.
But to survive, you have to do certain things in there to get through, and so I did.
And so you did it. And what happened when they released you?
So they released me, and they talk about, at the end of the graduation, about the things you're supposed to do when you leave rehab. Okay. And I specifically remember them saying, you need to stop hanging out with your old friends. Right. Go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps. I wasn't an alcoholic. Right. So why would I go to Alcoholics Anonymous?
Right. They didn't have NA back then?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Okay.
But I didn't go.
Okay.
I went back to hang out with my old friends and went to the bar with them, but didn't drink for, and I don't know how long I didn't drink, but it was a period of time that I didn't drink. Okay. And I stayed sober.
Like months, not years?
Months.
Okay.
And the ironic thing is, two of the bars that I used to drink in, one, there was an AA meeting across the street, and I mean directly across the street where you would see them sitting outside on hot summer nights. Oh, wow. And then the other meeting, the other bar, the meeting was right next door. If you opened the wrong door, you went into the meeting.
Oh, wow.
Here, I said the wrong door.
All right.
So it was right next door.
Did you take the red pill or the blue pill?
So I stayed sober for some period of time, and I don't know how long it was.
Okay. And then what took you out?
She did.
Romance or finance?
No, it wasn't even romance. It was a want. It was a desire.
All right.
She walked in, and I was nervous into the bar.
She walked into the bar.
And I wanted to talk to her, and I called the bartender over.
Oh, a shot of courage.
Exactly.
You needed a shot of liquid courage.
And his name was Larry, and he had a bad toupee. I'll never forget it. And I told him, Larry, bring the Jack Daniels.
Oh, what did he say? He knew you were sober?
And he said, Jimbo, you haven't had a drink in a long time. Are you sure? And I told him, it'll be all right. Oh. And the next morning was my urinalysis for Chicago Fire Department.
Oh, that was the night.
Yes. And that shot of courage led to however much cocaine it led to.
Did she like cocaine?
Yes, she did.
Okay, then I know what happened after that.
Needless to say, that urinalysis did not go well.
Oh, bummer. So it wasn't just the drinking, it was you had drugs in your system. Mm-hmm. They may have overlooked the alcohol.
Yes. And the crazy thing is I was sitting in this classroom of 30 guys, and they said, if there's anybody that doesn't want to take this urinalysis today and wants to come back, you can reschedule.
And you didn't?
I thought it was a trick. I thought as soon as I stood up and said,
I'll come back,
they were going to say, okay, you're first.
Oh. Did anybody leave?
Nope. We all thought it was a trick.
Were you the only one that tested dirty?
I don't know. They don't tell you. Who else?
Oh, okay. And listen, you didn't see those guys again, right? Because it's not like you're going back there.
Exactly.
So you don't know if anybody else tested dirty?
I do not.
Wow.
And then to get called from the chief of the Chicago Fire Department for a little meeting where he says, you have failed.
Oh.
Cocaine in your system. You're not allowed to test again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
And then I
must
had
have been so humiliating.
right, and then I had to explain it to my family, which I did, and I made up some lie.
Okay.
Right, I'm a dope fiend.
Right. Of course.
I lied about something. That was...
You must have been devastated.
Oh, it crushed me. That's what I wanted to do my whole life up until that point.
Oh, your whole life.
Yes. So, once I failed that, I didn't care anymore.
Then you had nothing to lose.
Yes. So I just started partying again. And it took a few years. So that was 89.
Okay, and you got sober in 93?
I got sober in 94.
Oh, okay. We got sober the same year. I was sober in 94.
You're April, correct?
Yeah.
I'm January, so I just had it.
Oh, you did? Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
How did I not know this? You celebrated with the boys. Y'all keep it on the DL, don't you?
You weren't at the meeting.
You were at the meeting?
You were not.
I wasn't. I can't go to the 6 a.m. anymore. I'm at work in
I'm
Redwood
sorry
City.
to hear that. I am so sorry to hear that.
You're not. I went to that meeting every day for a year. I love that 6 a.m. meeting. Did I tell you the name of the podcast is ODAT Chat?
No, it's not.
It is. I named it after that meeting.
How many people have come through the ODAT chat room?
The ODAT Chat, what do you mean?
How many people have you interviewed?
On the podcast?
Yes.
About a half a dozen.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we'll do 30 and 30 when we launch. So it'll probably launch in March.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. And we know some celebrities too. I know a couple. Yeah, well, we know a couple professional athletes.
Yes.
So I'm going to see if I can't name names.
No.
But I'm going to see if I
It's
can wrangle
anonymous.
them. Fine. Well, that's right. But this isn't AA, right? And I was actually going to ask you about your anonymity, but we'll come back to that question because I want to hear about your return. So you did return, obviously, to Alcoholics Anonymous. Did you go to rehab again?
No. So I left Chicago in April 12th, 1992. I left Chicago.
Okay. Why'd you come out to California?
Why?
Other than it's awesome here.
One of the letters that was written to me was from my sister Chaley that lives in Mountain View.
Oh, okay.
And I remember it saying, if you ever want to come out to California for a little while, give me a call. And I happened to be downstairs near that one telephone we had, and the phone book was open and her number would just jumped off the page at me.
Really?
Yes. And I made the phone call. And I said, hey, is that offer still stand? Now this is 2.5 or I don't know exactly, but it's later.
Yeah, a couple of years.
And she said, absolutely. So I had nothing going. I was,
You were lost.
between jobs, working menial jobs, tire fixer, just nothing. I had nothing going on. And she said, sure. So she actually sent me a plane ticket.
Oh, wow.
And I left Chicago with a bag of clothes and $200.
Whoa.
And I came to California April 12th, 1992, and nothing. It took me 3 days to find the dope and drinking.
3 days. It's funny how we can find each other so easily.
So quick. And I laugh about this. I tell this because I think it's funny now. But she lived in Mountain View, and I would drive to San Francisco for the cocaine, not knowing that East Palo Alto was right next door to me.
PA, baby. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's hard to ask people, hey, where do you get crack cocaine?
Because if they ain't doing it, they don't know where it's at.
Yeah, then you don't look good.
And who did you know besides your sister? What do you do? Ask your sister? You didn't know anyone.
So
but still, 3 days is not a long time.
Yes, it's not. But I'm a dope fiend.
Right.
Right? And I knew San Francisco's a big city. I can find it.
Yeah.
I can find it.
Absolutely. And then
So,
you did.
and I did. And I didn't know East Palo Alto was crack heaven until I got sober. Then it was useless to me.
You're all, damn it, missed opportunity.
I wasted all that money on gas.
Oh, the things we regret.
And so I kind of maintained for a while I was here. And I don't know how long it took. But like I said, I had $200 and a bag of clothes when I came out here.
Right.
So I didn't have anything going for me. And I got a little construction job. And my sister would let me use her car. And, you know, I'd disappear for a day here, a night here. And she was going to meetings.
Oh, she was?
And bringing home literature.
Aww.
Yes. And so at some point, she was done.
Oh.
She was done. I think I had left with her car for a few days. And when I came back, she had a contract printed up.
Oh, shoot.
That's it.
She gave you the Al-Anon karate chop.
Oh, and I got it too. But it was the best thing that happened in my life.
Of course.
Because I said, okay. And I think I said okay, not out of surrender, but out of what the hell am I going to do if I get kicked out of here?
Desperation, yeah, nowhere to go.
And that's all it was. Honestly, it was not, okay, I need to be sober now. It was, I need a roof over my head, so I'll go to these meetings if it's just going to keep a roof over my head.
Right.
And that was sometime probably in 1992. And so I would go in and out. And I started in Cocaine Anonymous.
Oh, okay.
That's where I first got sober.
Did you meet Bob there? Oh, okay. Yeah, because he started out in CA as well.
Yes. I met, that's how, you know, Bobby and Julie and Dan Richards and all of them.
Yeah.
Just broke his head.
I was just thinking that.
Sorry, Dan.
We'll have him come on and he can tell his own story.
But yeah, that's...
Maybe he can edit that part out. I'll edit it out if he wants me to. He might not care. A lot of people are not anonymous anymore.
Right. People are definitely more open with it.
Yeah. Are you anonymous at work?
No. I'm not. I don't hide it.
Don't you find, or maybe because you've been in the same profession for so long, I feel like it's a, you know, and I'm in high-tech sales, so I go to, you know, I don't, you know, stay at a company for, you know, more than 2-3 years or whatever, short attention span. But I feel like it's a process of coming out, you know, every time you go somewhere new. But I think for the most part, people are, I think for the most part, they're very understanding and nice, and nobody really cares. Like, they care about you, but they don't care about what you do.
No, I don't think anymore. It's not like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I did have a younger guy tell me once, oh, I wouldn't tell anybody about that. And I was like, really? I was a little surprised, but I think it was because the environment was very conservative. It was in a customer support position in a security company, so... maybe that, but I was really surprised, and you know, that's been one of my drivers for wanting to do the podcast, is there's so much misunderstanding and misconceptions about what it is to be an alcoholic or in recovery.
In recovery,
I should
yeah,
say.
sure.
Yeah.
I find that now I've been with the same company for 11 years now. They direct people to me.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
That they think need some help.
Yeah.
Right, so I am not
the
one, but the most visible alcoholic, I think, in my company.
Because you're holding a position of significance in your company now.
So I get quite a few guys that they think need some help getting sober, or you know, want to see if they want to do the deal.
Right.
And I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like helping too. You're in service. I know that. And
Yes.
you sponsor eyes and have a sponsor. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above. It's been quite a wild ride. Let me ask you about your concept of God, and I'm going to tie this into, just before we started the podcast, I had mentioned that there has been a theme sort of from all the podcasts that everybody's lost somebody, right? And I remember you're coming up on an anniversary, and I remember when you lost Vanessa, that you really struggled with your concept of God. And I was wondering if you could sort of walk me through, like kind of talk to me about that, because you had such a strong concept of God before, and then tragedy strikes. How did that affect? Tell me the story about what happened and how that affected your concept of God.
Okay.
I know that's kind of a big...
So, when I came in, I was raised Irish Catholic. I think we talked about this, right? And I was an altar boy, right? Did the whole church thing. Thought about being a priest for a while when I was very young.
And then puberty hit.
Exactly. Someone that understands that very easily.
Yes.
And I was raised with that God that I was punished.
Okay.
Things happened. I got punished for it. And I will never forget the mosaic of God behind the priest on the altar.
Okay.
He had the eyes that seen you wherever you were in the church.
Okay.
They followed you. Or they followed me, I should say.
You felt they were specifically following you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You see it everywhere. Even when I was hiding behind the column, I'd look at
Would you really? You would check to see if it was looking at you.
He was always looking at me.
Wow, that's a good artist.
It was like one of them paintings.
Yeah.
Where the eyes always follow you.
Yeah, that's creepy.
So, I've been through a lot of deaths in my life.
Okay.
I had a friend, I was 24, and she was 22, and she went in for heart surgery. Had a hole in her heart, and never made it off the table. And that was like the first one that just...
Wow.
Like pushed me away from the concept of God. Like,
Okay.
You know what? I don't want nothing to do with you.
Right.
And so I've been through that. And then I got sober. My friend Dana got cancer.
Right.
At 30.
I remember Dana.
She
The
died
story
young.
of Dana. Yeah.
Right. And that kind of swayed my impression of God. But I had a sponsor that taught me you get to make your own God in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Right. And so he suggested that I go to meetings and listen to what everybody's God is like, how it works in their life, and ask people how their God is. And he said, take the best from everybody and make that your higher power. So that's what I did. And so I didn't have this punishing God anymore. I had a God that loved me no matter what.
Oh.
And he didn't take things out of my life. He lets me make my decisions, right? And if things don't go well, it's not because I'm being punished. It's
Right.
because I'm learning.
Right.
I made this decision, and so I'm learning that when I make this decision, it goes this way, and that's not what you want to do. So
Right.
he lets me make decisions. And we had a good run for a long time.
Did. Yeah.
Right? And then, at 17 years sober, so, you know the story, but Vanessa hanged herself.
Yeah, she did.
And
How old was she?
she was 19.
19. Beautiful, beautiful girl.
And it was hard, right? She was living with me at the time. And so...
What was her relationship to you?
She was a stepdaughter.
Yeah.
She's right. I dated her mom for years.
She was little when you got her.
Yes. And her mom told me I could never call her my stepdaughter.
Oh, really?
She said, if you ever speak of her, you have to call her your daughter.
Oh, sweet.
So, when we split up, when Michelle and I split up, Vanessa stayed a part of my life. We stayed in
Right.
contact.
Yeah.
So then she came back and lived with me. So when it happened, she was an organ donor. And so they kept her on life support for 5 days.
5 days?
Yeah.
So they found her and she was still alive?
Yeah. But she was brain dead.
And she wasn't at your house?
Thank God she was not.
That seemed like, it always struck me as like an act of mercy
I learned
on her part.
through counselors that when they do it at a house or where people generally are, they want to be found. Where she did it, she didn't want anybody to find her.
She didn't want anybody she loved to find her?
She just did. She wanted that to go through. Where she was scared if she did it at my house, I might show up.
And save her?
Yes.
And she didn't want to be saved?
Yes. And so when that happened, my relationship with my higher power went. I didn't like him.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't save her.
It felt like he took her from me. That's what it felt like. And I was very mad. And we didn't talk. I think we talked, but like I didn't talk directly to him. I think my higher power knew how upset I was, how mad I was about the whole situation. And so I just kept my distance, right, from God and my higher power. For a long time I did. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what was the catalyst that got me talking to my higher power or looking at it again. But it took years.
Yeah.
And I'm still not okay that she's gone. But I'm also very grateful that I had her in my life.
Yeah. Did you feel anger towards Vanessa?
No, I was sad.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Because I talked to her. Her boyfriend committed suicide shortly before she did.
Like 2 weeks prior, right?
I don't think there was that much. Maybe 10 days.
Oh, God.
So I talked to her as much as I could, and I was scared. I was really scared about.
Did you see it coming?
I did.
And there was nothing you could do?
No.
She was standing in front of the train and you couldn't get her off the tracks?
I could not. Like the decision was made.
Like how soon after do you think she made the decision? Looking back, can you see it?
At his funeral is when I really felt it. It was a funeral, so she was all in black. And she got up to speak. And I knew she was done. She had a black veil. And as she spoke about Scott and said basically that she was done. She gave up.
She did.
He was her everything. And, tried to change it, but there was, I don't know what else could have been done.
Right.
Right. At the time, right? Felt that
Listen,
guilt.
What are you going to do? No, but you don't know. Hindsight, right?
Yes. And that was that was also the one time in my sobriety that I just wanted to drink and take away the pain.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. And luckily I told people about it.
Yeah. You told people you wanted to drink?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted it to stop hurting.
Right.
And
it must have been so all-consuming.
it was, and the people in Alcoholics Anonymous really surrounded me.
Yeah.
And pretty much wouldn't let me be alone. Even when I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Or thought I wanted to be.
Right.
It was almost like I had a bodyguard 24/7.
The fellows just surrounded you.
Yeah. And so my relationship with my higher power since then has, I don't know if it ever got back to what it was. Mm-hmm. But I believe things happen, right? And they're not a personal attack on me anymore.
Right. Do you think it was easier for you to be mad at God than it was to be mad at Vanessa?
Sure.
Because it sounds like, the way you talk about it, it sounds like she made the decision. And she made it, she spoke about it, the service that she was already done.
Yes.
So maybe it was just easier to blame God than it...
Probably. And I think that was... I know Vanessa said she was very little.
Yeah.
I don't know how old she was. But... she... How do I say it? She was like my daughter.
She really was.
And there was nothing that she could do wrong.
Oh. Of course you couldn't be mad at her.
So, it was like, yeah, there was no way I was going to be mad at her. And we went through some stuff.
Yeah, you did. Well, you had her when she was a teenager.
We went through some stuff. She wasn't the quote-unquote perfect child, right? She had a little wild streak in her.
Her like her mama.
Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah. And she was beautiful, so she was going to attract all kinds of trouble.
Yes. And she did. She did.
Yeah.
And she was a knucklehead. So one time, she signed up for classes at San Jose City College. And she was talking about the parking. I said, well, let's look online. So we looked online, and I bought her a parking pass that you put on your car.
Uh-huh.
And she went to school her first day, and she came home with a ticket. And I'm like, how do you have a ticket? You have a parking pass. I couldn't find a parking spot, so I just parked on the street. Well, oh, my God.
Girl, how are you going to get through college?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
It
Vanessa.
seems perfectly reasonable to me. It's a very teenager thing to do.
Oh, yes. But she was good. She listened. She listened, she asked for direction and listened.
Yeah.
She was open to suggestions on how to accomplish things in her life that she wanted.
Right. Yeah.
So.
She's a good girl.
Yep.
I didn't realize it was coming up on the anniversary on Saturday.
Yes.
Do you remember at the gravesite you had asked us all to take a flower because they talked about everybody taking a flower and keeping it by her bedside to say a prayer for her? Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Do you know I still have that flower?
Really?
I do.
That is so cool.
I still have it. I kept it in my wedding box.
I had it in a bag and it somehow disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I think when I moved from the other house to this house, it was right after my motorcycle wreck, so I was not really part of the move. The fellas went to my house and packed everything and moved it.
It was the power of the herd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been through some stuff, so.
I have. I'm still sober.
You still standing.
I am.
And things are good now.
Absolutely.
Today, listen, it's so interesting because Katie did a podcast.
Right.
So here's something funny. So the first 3 people that did podcasts with me were single when they did the podcast. And now, since they're all 3.
The power of the podcast, Arlena.
Listen, I'm a healer.
You're the matchmaker.
I'm here to help.
You just need to find any of your single friends that are looking to get into a relationship and come do the podcast.
Come do the podcast. I take full credit.
And you should.
How funny is that, though?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, my life it's really good.
So you and Katie, but you guys seem like such a good fit too. It makes my heart so happy to see you two
we
together.
do very good.
Yeah.
And I learned early on with her, one of the things, we were traveling, right? And travel can be...
Well, you really know who somebody is when you travel.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And our first trip...
Was that Chicago?
No, I think it was a trip to San Diego.
You went with her to San Diego, where her kids are. Her kids are in San Diego.
Our first trip, we drove down, and we talked the whole way there and back.
Oh,
it was great.
Wow.
But our first trip flying, I had a buddy pass for my sister, and we had purchased her a ticket.
Okay.
Well, the flight got full. That was not supposed to be full.
Okay.
And so she bypassed the first one. It was overbooked.
Okay.
So she took a voucher and got off and waited for the next plane.
Mm-hmm. This is on the way down to San Diego?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was... that was just, for me, it was like, that was totally cool that she took the voucher, came in and waited. And then we had trouble with the car. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of one thing after another. It was starting to snowball.
Yes.
And we never got upset with each other.
Oh, wow.
It was very...
Y'all just rolled with it.
What do we got to do next? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what do we got to do? And we have had some horrendous trips trying to get down to...
It's just an hour flight, right?
Oh, and we have. And we've done very good getting through them. Wow. That trip coming back, it may not have been the same trip, but another trip coming back. It was the same trip because I had the buddy pass.
Okay.
So on the way back, there were storms, and they canceled flights to San Francisco, so everybody was getting on the San Jose flights. Well, I'm on a buddy pass, so I'm last in line.
Oh, shoot.
She flies back. Her phone dies. We lose contact with each other. Mm-hmm. So I go from, I'm supposed to be on this 8 o'clock flight. I'm on a flight at like 10 o'clock. Supposed to go to San Jose at 10 o'clock. No room because people get off the San Francisco flight.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
They finally open up a plane at 10 o'clock or something flying to San Francisco. I get to San Francisco at 11 something. Uh-huh. Katie's phone is dead.
Okay.
Can't get a hold of her. Have to take Uber home from San Francisco.
From San Francisco. It was like $100.
Yes. But and she was freaking out because
she knew where you were.
She didn't know where it was. And she had been at San Jose Airport because our last contact was that we were going to San Jose Airport.
So she was waiting for you at San Jose Airport?
Yes. And then her phone died and she didn't have a charger, or the charger was wherever.
Yeah.
But
so you get home and no Katie?
Right. Oh, so I have to take an Uber home, and I can't get a hold of her. Right? Now it's late, and I get home at like 1:30 in the morning or something.
Oh my gosh!
But it was never. We just learned to roll with those things.
You guys didn't get mad at each other.
No, we just did it. And
she's very easygoing.
We are. We're a couple, right? We're just, what? We have our moments. Mm-hmm. But we're really good at talking about it and getting through it. instead of letting it linger and last for days.
Fester.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're really good about talking about it.
That's really good.
Getting through it, yes.
Communication.
Never been one of my strong suits, but...
So I've heard. No. Oh! I've known you a very long time.
But we're good at it.
Yeah.
We're good at it.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm really happy.
You guys look really happy. It makes my heart, whenever I see you guys together, I'm a little...
Your husband told me that also.
Yeah. We're super excited for you guys.
Yeah, I am too.
You know, when you just listen, I know you and I know her, and it just makes sense, and you can just tell when something fits. Yeah.
We fit pretty good.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, it is. I'm very happy.
I can see all the shitty grin on your face.
Too bad y'all can't see this.
I know. You were so worried there was going to be video. I'm like, damn it. I need to hook up the video.
Come on, Arlena. That's right. We'll have to come back for the video.
Yeah, we'll have to get another one. Yeah. So typically what we do at the end of the podcast, or approaching the end, is we talk about, since it's ODAT, one day at a time, we talk about how you stay sober one day at a time. Do you have a typical morning routine, or do you have a set schedule, or what do you do to stay sober?
I don't know I have a set schedule. One of the things that we do in the morning, most mornings, is we have a meditation book. Katie and I got a meditation book. And I've read the 24 hours a day for years. And
me too, yeah.
so we just picked out a different one. Okay. Right?
Which one is it?
I couldn't tell you the title.
Okay.
It's a new one. I couldn't. But we read it in the morning. It has a different quote from somebody, from Eckhart Tolle to Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
There's just all sorts of different quotes. And we read that, and there's a little prayer at the end. And that's pretty much every morning. And then I have a very simple prayer that I say every morning.
Every morning?
Every
Before
morning.
you get out of bed, or?
Before I leave the house.
Before you leave the house.
And it's helped me today to be a better man than I was yesterday.
Oh, I think I've heard you say that.
And it's just that simple.
But you feel that prayer.
Yeah. And it's every day. I say that before I leave my house.
Okay.
And I believe in Alcoholics Anonymous and in the way it has directed my life to where I am now. And now it's about living my life.
Yeah.
Right? I don't worry so much about drinking or smoking crack cocaine anymore. So I'm more about living my life. And now I have a few sponsees that maybe it's the new year, but I have 4 sponsees, and 3 of them are in the first 4 steps.
Oh, that's a busy time.
It's wonderful.
Until you hit the 4th step, and then they disappear for a little bit.
But you know what? What's happened, it's got me back in the book.
Okay.
Right? Because now I'm sober. I don't need to read the book all the time.
Right.
But when I have guys that are in the first 3 steps and that 4
First
steps.
go around? Your new guys are first go around, or does it matter? You always read the book?
One guy is first go round.
Okay.
The other 2 guys that are in there are not. One had a few years and went out, and the other guy had quite a few years and went out. Yeah. So, just trying to get them to do the deal. And I like working with new guys. I like helping them when they're doing the deal.
Yeah.
Right? Because part of it is, don't waste my time.
I hear you.
Right? If you want my help, then you need to follow these directions.
Yeah. Do you have like a set of instructions? I have like a firm, rigid, or not rigid, but like I have the talk with my sponsees before I get them. It's like you gotta go to a big book study a week, a 12 and 12. You need a service commitment. You need to do 3 willingness calls a week. A willingness call is that you call somebody and ask them how they are, because we're trying to get out of our self-centeredness. You share a little bit about what's going on with you, and then you hang up. And so the idea is that you're current with 3 people, so that when the shit hits the fan, if I'm not available and the other 2 aren't, you're like, it's likely you'll get somebody, and that when you get someone on the phone, you don't have to spend a lot of time giving the backstory. You can get right into it.
Yeah. I do a similar, but a little different. 2 of the men's meetings I attend, we have phone lists.
Okay.
So I make sure that they have the phone list, and they need to call someone every day out of that phone list.
Someone every day.
And
For how long? Like the first 30 days?
Till I tell them they don't have to do it anymore. Till people start knowing them at the meetings. And part of that is...
You get them in the herd.
You're learning to call people.
Okay.
And you don't have to tell them your whole life story. You just have to call them and say, my sponsor wants me to start calling people, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it helps them that when they go to the meetings, they hear somebody talk, they say, oh, that's the guy I talked to.
Okay.
And then they learn who people are, and people learn who they are.
Yeah. Get connected.
That one. And then I'm pretty much of a stickler on time. Like, because I work during the day, and I'm construction, and I usually have a bunch of guys, so I can't be taking phone calls at, 8:40 in the morning or 10:30, right? I have a set schedule for my break, so like, call me at noon.
Okay.
From noon to 12:30, you can call me. So I'm pretty rigid on that part of it. And I want them to keep progressing. I don't...
Right. Don't sit on a step for too long.
That, and I'm not... Unless it's emergency, you don't get to call me and start bending my ear about something. You need to say, hey, I need some of your time.
Okay.
Where it's set up.
Okay.
That we're going to... I need 10 minutes of your time. Can I call you? Okay, call me at 3:30 or call me then. But unless it's emergency, don't just...
I have my girls on a pain scale. Like, I'll have them, I'm a sales girl. I'm on the phone all the time, right? And I'm at work too. So if I tell them, I go, if you're, the pain scale, right? 0 or 1 being 10 being really in a lot of pain. I tell them, if you're at a 7, text me that I'm at a 7. I will excuse myself from a meeting. That's when I know it's serious. Like, to me, that's an emergency.
Right.
But if you call me and leave me a message and you're cool, you're just calling to check in, I might call you the next day. Let me know if it's important or not. I can't read your mind.
That's the one that I tell my guys when they're new, call me every day.
Yeah. I
said, and some days I'll answer, and some days you won't hear from me for a day or 2.
Yeah, it's not about me.
But I want you to get in the habit, call me.
Yeah, get in the habit.
So that one's a little harder because guys, when they're new, if I don't call them back that day, then they don't call the next day. They're like, well, I called you yesterday. Well...
They're expecting a return call or something.
And I think I make it clear that.
Yeah.
You may not get a call that day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have one of my guys that just when I got here had called me, and I said, I can't talk right now. And he said, when you have time, call me. I need to talk to you.
Okay.
So, right, that's pretty clear.
They need to learn patience. They need to learn to reach out to other people. I mean, I did it. You did it.
Right. There's a reason that we're still here.
Yeah.
Learn how to do those things.
Yeah, we do what we're told. Not everything, but to the best of my ability at the time.
So, the funny thing is, now I've been sober 23 years. I do more meetings now than when I was new.
Why do you think that is? Are you just enjoying it?
I think I enjoy it, and
yeah,
that's where my friends are.
That's where my friends are. Me too.
Right. So I've been trying to... The 6 a.m. meeting.
Yeah. That's a really special fellowship.
Yes.
It really is.
But I have my Monday night meeting and my Wednesday night men's meetings.
Right.
So I've kind of been not going on those 2 mornings.
I was going to say, because those are late meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Especially 8 o'clock meetings?
Yes.
I'm like, that's so late.
I agree it is.
Oh, it's like the middle of the night when I'm getting up at 6 a.m.
I agree it is late. So
when I'm at it, we're hilarious, right? It's like, how twisted are we that it's like 8 o'clock for like old people.
Are you ready to go to bed?
Like, I gotta schedule the podcast early.
Oh no, I'd be okay with that.
I know.
I'd be okay with that.
That's funny.
Katie's not an early go to bed yet.
No.
No. No.
Some are sicker than others. Oh, goodness. Well, listen, that's probably a good place to end. Listen, I just want to thank you so much for your time. I adore you. You've been a friend for so long. I'm so happy to see you happy.
Thank you. I am too. I'm very happy. Life is very good right now.
Life is very good. So
Yes.
I appreciate you sharing all the good and the bad. So
You're welcome.
thank you very much.
Right on.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, we made it.
Thank you for listening to ODAT Chat. Please visit odatchat.com for more episodes, to leave feedback or suggest topics and guests. Until next time.